So you know what I did? I went to his website and I filled out his lead form. Okay. I filled out the lead form, put in my name, put in an email, put in a phone number. I clicked the button to get an estimate. No email, no text, didn't send any communication. No one even reached out from his office. And I sent him a screenshot of it. I said, hey, man, I know you like your apps and I know you don't need drip jobs. You don't even know what it is. You haven't even looked at it. You won't give me the time of day. But I just want to let you know I filled out your form and nothing happened. And if you use drip jobs, you get a booking form, and that booking form has 7 automations built in. It creates a contact, creates a deal, sends an email, sends a text, creates an estimate request, and gives you a notification. Let me ask you this, man. Would it make sense to meet so I can showcase to you how you can stop losing money? Why? Because he's not thinking like his customer. And this is a bad habit of business owners. The habit is I think like me. You know what's interesting? When I was speaking at Gutter Summit, I think it was, 3 months ago, I asked everyone in the room, I said, raise your hand if you had hired a gutter installation contractor before. Dude, I've never had a room where no one raised their hands. That was crazy. That was a mindset shift for me. What's going on, good people? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. Welcome to 2026. I can't believe it. I bet you can't believe it either. But here's the deal. Every year comes with new initiatives, new change, and I want to be on the forefront of preparing you for something that changes every single year. And you might be thinking about this, but not quite know how to put it into words. It's your customers' buying behavior. And that is influenced heavily by the way business works and the innovations in the way the big guys play, which pretty much pacifies our customers and gets them spoiled. So I want to share that with you on how you can translate those changes into your home service business. But before I do that, I want to highlight something I'm extremely proud about, and that's the 31 Days of Value. So this book was written from the heart. If you are an avid follower of this podcast, you know what it took to get this book out. Got it done, and it is available right now on Amazon. So if you want to grab yourself a copy of the 31 Days of Value, it's supporting me, and I would be very grateful. But not only that, it's a daily discipline. It's 31 days. It'll help you identify some areas in your business that without this discipline, it might take a year to do, and you can get it done in 31 days. So if you find anything I tell you valuable, a good part of everything that I share with you is in this book. So I'd appreciate it if you go and grab a copy and then tell me how it went. I'd love to know how your 31 days went. No better time to start a new initiative than the beginning of the year. So here's the deal. You have customers and you have a product, and those customers, they have a need and you solve that need. And that is called value. And in your heart, you have an idea of how great your product or your service is. And it's your job to paint that picture in the eyes of your customers. This is why we're always emphasizing, obviously hearing the story whenever we do a sales interaction, but more importantly, identifying unique ways to highlight the value that we offer as business owners. And that's going to be the big difference in obviously selling and, kind of just being a expensive alternative. Selling is helping the customer, at least in my opinion. Everyone has a different version of what they think sales is, but in my opinion, sales is helping the customer arrive to their expected destination. Sometimes they need a little bit of help to get there. And I think one of those components in order to help them is something that I believe in wholeheartedly. And I write about it in this book, and it's something that I teach. And that's called the invisible currency. Now, that invisible currency is boiled down to obviously simplistic terms is going to be trust. And there's different ways that trust can be taught, it can be showcased, and it can be experienced by your customer. But again, every individual we interact with as business owners has had a different experience with a different home service individual that kind of formulates their idea of what this process is going to look like. And you still have the ability, you have a strategic advantage, an early mover advantage to out communicate with your customers. Because we know this in any relationship, it doesn't matter if you're married, it doesn't matter if it's a friendship, it doesn't matter if it's a business engagement. Trust is the foundation. But not only that, trust really is showcased through communication, your words and your actions. That's what builds trust. So you and I both know if you don't text a friend back, what does that create? Distrust. It creates a disconnect. If your wife wants to talk with you and you're disconnected and you're not communicating effectively, well, that's going to create bigger problems for you. Okay. So really what I want to highlight here is how we can tap into some of the psychological principles of relationship building and communication to align with the new age buyer. And I talked about this the other day. If you follow me on Instagram at official Tanner Mullen, I posted a video a little bit about how to engage with this buyer in a way that builds trust. And you know this, obviously Drip Jobs does a lot of this for us, but I want you to understand the why behind the new age buyer. So in order for me to do that, I got to give you some attributes of the new age buyer. Okay. And those attributes are, number one, they're impatient. The new age buyer is impatient, right? Here's the thing. When you click that button on Amazon and you know that thing's going to be added to your delivery, that does something in your brain that ultimately really short circuits the ability for you to comprehend what's going on. I mean, you got to think like the reward system behind adding something to a delivery. I don't know if you've seen this. I don't know if you use Amazon, but that add to delivery button, that beautiful blue button, is something to admire from a business standpoint, because what it really does is it's tapping into the human's need for instant gratification. That's all it is. It's, I have a need, I have a desire, okay? And at that point, I want to solve that need. And Amazon figured out a way to do it instantly. And I don't know how they did it, but it's just amazing that if I need, I bought some pens. So I want to do some journaling. I want to really lock back into journaling. And I want to find a really good pen. I don't know about you, but when I write, I want to make sure that thing just rolls on the paper. And I click that add to delivery button, and man, instant. And it's just amazing that it can find that pen and throw it into the delivery. So here's the kicker though. The production has to be ironclad, and we'll get into that. But today's buyer is spoiled. I mean, you look at it, you click that add to delivery button. I just did that in an area where I have a need, right? It doesn't matter. So if I have a house painting need, how long and how foreign is that process going to be for me to solve that problem, right? And the trick here is, from a business perspective, you need to be solving that problem. You need to be making it easy. You need to be creating that add to delivery button for your customers. Obviously, you know what I mean, okay? So here's an example. There was a guy that I reached out to on Facebook. Listen, I'm still, what do they call it? They have that marketing term, guerrilla marketing, right? I'm still boots on the ground, man. When I see someone post something on Facebook about their business and wanting a software, I'm messaging them, right? It's me. I don't have a VA doing it. I'm doing it, right? I'm messaging them. I want them to use Drip Jobs, right? Because I'm passionate, right? And this guy was giving me so much, back and forth. He's like, "Oh, I'm using," what did he say? He was using House Call Pro and Go High Level. Okay. And that's not really a tough sell for me, because I know that Drip Jobs does what both of those apps do in one. But from a salesperson perspective, I can't obviously get him to believe what I believe unless I showcase what? Value. So you know what I did? I went to his website and I filled out his lead form. Okay. I filled out the lead form, put in my name, put in an email, put in a phone number. I clicked the button to get an estimate. No email, no text, didn't send any communication. No one even reached out from his office. And I sent him a screenshot of it. I said, hey, man, I know you like your apps, and I know you don't need drip jobs. You don't even know what it is. You haven't even looked at it. You won't give me the time of day. But I just want to let you know I filled out your form and nothing happened. And if you use drip jobs, you get a booking form, and that booking form has 7 automations built in. It creates a contact, creates a deal, sends an email, sends a text, creates an estimate request, and gives you a notification. Let me ask you this, man. Would it make sense to meet so I can showcase to you how you can stop losing money? Why? Because he's not thinking like his customer. And this is a bad habit of business owners. The habit is I think like me. You know what's interesting? When I was speaking at Gutter Summit, I think it was, 3 months ago, I asked everyone in the room, I said, raise your hand if you had hired a gutter installation contractor before. Dude, I've never had a room where no one raised their hands. That was crazy. That was a mindset shift for me. Usually 1 or 2 people will, but no one in the room raised their hands. And you're at a gutter convention learning about how to grow your gutter business, and you hadn't even ever taken your own medicine. So this is a major blind spot for business owners because they don't think like their customer. So they look at a website and they say, yeah, I mean, it's just a form. We'll get to them. Dude, you're not thinking like the 2026 customer. And guess what's going to happen? I'm just telling you, be honest with you, because I want you to be ahead of the game. You listen to my podcast, so I owe it to you to be honest and give you actionable advice. I'm not the type of guy, I don't blabber on here. Generally speaking, most of you might not understand this, but I don't really do a lot of interviews because I don't like blabber. I like action. Okay, this is just an action thing. This is, you come here, you get the action, you get the info, you take the freaking action. Okay, it's just a website. Okay, it's just a website. Well, guess what? There's competitors out there with a lot more R&D, research and development dollars, okay? Specifically your little franchise competitors that recognize exactly what I'm telling you, is that the new age buyer would rather compromise cost for trust. In other words, they're willing to spend more for a trustworthy experience. Every time you create friction in your buying process, you're creating a vacuum to a competitor who doesn't have friction in their buying process. In other words, they go to the competitor, and this is a problem Routimize is going to solve. I'm really excited about it. But generally speaking, they'll be able to put in their information, okay, if they're a Routimize user, okay, which in my honest opinion here, Routimize will be a unicorn. And if you're watching this, man, I'd love to reward you as an early member of this thing. But I just got through testing it, and it's going to be a unicorn because of exactly what I'm telling you right now. And what that really means is we have to speed up the buying process, because generally speaking, most of the time, what we're solving is an emotional need. And Amazon knows this. Generally speaking, when we look something up, man, we're emotional about it. I need that pen because I want to journal. Add to delivery, dude. Boom, 1 tap, sold. Okay. Now, when I woke up yesterday, man, I'm like, I don't know if I want to journal, right? That's just the natural tendency to be average, which we all have. It's the same thought process your customers have after the rain goes away, and they're like, do I really need gutters? All it takes is 2 days of good weather for them to forget the need. Okay. So there's friction in your appointment setting process, right? So you have that form that doesn't really fill out properly, and you have to get someone to look at it and then make a decision, and then call, and they don't answer. And by that time, the emotional intensity of the customer is gone. So then getting the customer to show up, that's why reminders are important. Appointment reminders, that's a drip jobs feature. If you're not sending appointment reminders to your customer, you might think it's just to remind them. What we really want to do is we want to bring back up the emotional intensity of that need. No reminders. Okay. Somebody posted in the Facebook group yesterday about how upset he was, the fact that he drove an hour to an appointment and the customer wasn't even there. Emotional intensity was gone. He didn't create a good system for the 2026 buyer. Okay, so these are all things that you need to think about. every step of the way, right? These are things that right now you might feel like don't matter, but these are actually areas that you can improve, and that's the key. So that's, to me, that's a big area for 2026. That's a big area. And I want you to recognize a few other things about the fact that in today's economy, that customer who has no patience, okay, has no patience, has options, more options than ever. And I've said this. So if someone bestows themselves upon your website, it needs to be an A+ experience. It needs to be fast. Okay. One of the things we focused on this year in my painting business was getting the set rate up. And we finished the year at 62%, which I love, because years prior was like 51, 52. So we increased that by 10%, which means that 62% of the time when a new lead comes in, we're converting that lead to an estimate. And we get a majority of Facebook leads, which are obviously the most emotional type of customer. They're not as much need-based. So that's really good. I'm really excited about that. So obviously that's the automated drip message that goes out to new leads, and then a follow-up phone call 5 times minimum, which has increased our set rate. And I want you to think about this, because this is that CEO mindset that you're going to strive toward, right? This is called lever pulling, right? I don't know if you've heard of this concept, but for me, it's like when you can actually sit back and think, you can increase the results by pulling levers, right? So a lever pull is pretty much identifying, like setting an initiative, right? So the initiative might be, hey, we want to make sure that our set rate improves. Okay. Well, how do we do that? Well, one of the things we're going to implement is a 5 call minimum within the first 2 days. Great. How do we track it? We're going to use the label feature in Drip Jobs. And every time we make a call, we're going to change it from follow-up 1 to follow-up 2 to follow-up 3 to follow-up 4 to follow-up 5. And then at that point, that'll help us identify each call to make it easy for the admin to know who to call, how many times they've been called. And it gives us a consistent outcome each and every time. And then at the end of the trial period, which is going to be like 30 days, we're going to review the results. We did it and it worked. That was a lever pull. Okay. And you could do that in your business. One of the lever pulls would be, hey, if I was a customer and I went to our website and I filled out the information Saturday at 8:00 at night, how long do I have to wait to get an appointment? That's why we do the request form, because it lets the customer submit all the information they need, including when they want to meet with you. And then you don't have to reach back out to them. You just choose the time that works for you based on the days they want. So it shortens that buying cycle. Routimize. And again, if you're new to this podcast, Routimize is an app we're also developing in addition to Drip Jobs V2. And Routimize is the ability to do what I just told you, but align drive times. So it'll identify where you're going to be, where their house is, and present them times to book an appointment. So you don't have to make that phone call. We're shortening the buyer cycle. And it all comes from this concept that I am married to, because I know that this is the goal of business, especially commerce. Speed, urgency sells. It does. No one wants to wait. Time kills all deals. If you don't operate with a sense of urgency in 2026, you're going to lose. We call people so much that in some cases they tell us to stop. We follow up so much in some cases they tell us to stop. That's a good thing. Most people appreciate it. And guess what? We wind up getting results. At the very least, we need to earn our keep. We need to put that price on paper and then live up to that price. Because guess what? Doing the actual painting is not enough to justify a 20% difference in price. And that's what helps a business scale. And you need to own up to that in your sales process, in your communications, in your follow-ups, all the above for the 2026 buyer. This is the game you're in. Unfortunately, the buyers have become spoiled. And guess what? Not only are they spoiled, we talked about this, they have options. They can hit the back button and see 15 of your competitors. If you want to stay alive in this business, you have got to understand this concept very well. If you're not using drip jobs, why not? You need automation. There's only one way to do this. Happy New Year. I want you guys to grow this year. I want you to provide for your families like never before. I want you to retire your spouse if that's a goal of yours. I want you to give yourself the option to homeschool your kids if that's a goal of yours. If not, to be able to put them in a program to help them win in public school. You have no idea how serious it is to win in this economy, because it's no longer playing the game for luxury. It's playing the game for peace. It's not, we're not looking for Corvettes and Ferraris, man. We're looking to be able to control our outcomes. Got to get uncomfortable this year in 2026. Do whatever you got to do. Work late, study, do the work. And you might just find yourself on the other side of the struggle of trying to manage a business. And there's many people that have come before you. So my first piece of advice is grab this book, 31 Days of Value. The mindset, systems, and strategy for home service leaders to build kingdom businesses that multiply impact and create legacy. I can't put it better than that, man. If you want to multiply impact and create legacy, you need this book. And one thing I love, of course, is the fact that we put a Bible verse at the end of every single chapter to help you wrap the context together to understand that, man, business is biblical, man. It really is. Business really is biblical. I believe that to my core. Got information on here about the phone system that scales, how important it is to have a good phone system. Everything that you need to understand how to systemize your business is in here, man. So I hope you get it. I hope it's valuable to you. It's $20. Okay. I think it's worth it. Do the 31 days from start to finish. Just like I did. I'm about to do another one. Another 31-day lock-in season. Try to do a couple of those a year where you just lock in for 31 days. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for listening to this. We got a lot coming up. I'm going to try to get this out, but before liftoff, but liftoff2026.com. I don't care if you're a roofing contractor. I don't care who you are. It's going to be a mindset online event, January 7th, January 8th, 2026. We do this every year. I've got 2,500 people already registered. It's going to be great. I hope to see you there. It's online. No excuse. Open the phone. Lock in. Learn. Don't think you know everything. None of us do. Don't go at it alone. Be a part of the community. Buy something, right? You're going to get a lot of discounts. There's coaches. I'm bringing in coaches. I'm bringing in marketing agencies. You know, don't do it alone. There's no reason to do this alone. You're not inventing rockets. You're building a trade business. Okay, so don't reinvent the wheel. Okay, like that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Don't reinvent the wheel. It's already been done by hundreds of thousands of people. You just need to tap in and pay for the experience. Pay your way forward. It's easy, right? You didn't have to build drip jobs. Just buy it. Just pay it monthly. You didn't have to spend the 6 figures. That's the mindset. You didn't have to. You don't have to manage the development team. You just get to reap the rewards, the fruits, right? That's the mindset. So hope you guys crush it this year. Thank you for listening to this. I love your feedback. So if you want to send me a message on Instagram, I really do appreciate feedback, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the book, whether it's drip jobs. We hear more negative in our lives than we do positive, because positive, people underestimate how important it is to give positive feedback to people. So I value it tremendously. Thank you. All right. So catch up with you on the next episode. I hope this was of some value. I hope it woke you up a little bit, and I hope I did a good job of preparing you for the 2026 buyer and some of the expectations as they continue to rise. God bless.